10 years ago, martial arts was outlawed in Russia. And if you used it, they put you in jail. And so they trained underground, but they had no teachers, and they were using my...
We've got some breaking news to bring you now, and it's sad news. Chuck Norris, the film star, has died.
Hey, and you know, they've advanced fight scenes so much, but this really holds up. It's an amazing fight scene.
Well, I think the main reason, Bruce was really ahead of his time. And I worked out with Bruce.
The morning Chuck Norris died didn't look like the kind of morning that would end a life like his. March 19, 2026, in Kauai, Hawaii, which is exactly what made the timeline so difficult to process. Because within days of his death, attention began shifting away from how he died to where he had lived, and specifically toward one property that kept surfacing in conversations that nobody was quite ready to have out loud, not even Trump.
Great guy. He was a really good, tough cookie. We didn't want to fight him. I think that he was a tough, great guy, and he was a great supporter. Wow, that's too bad. Tell his family.
You know, I get the feeling that when this is over, they're all going to want to come down, and he's all, don't worry, in his broken English. We have many bodyguards, so forth. So the thing ends. Sure enough, man, these people, very compassionate people, they come charging down, and these bodyguards surround me. And then I got one on each arm, and I tell you, they were literally fighting for their lives to get me through the crowd. And the first time I'd really got nervous, I said, if they get through these bodyguards, I'm duck soup.
Oh,
boy.
come on, you could have fought.
According to his family, his was a sudden but peaceful death, surrounded by the people closest to him. His wife, Gina O'Kelly. His children, the same people who had watched him outlive decades of Hollywood, injuries, rumors, and even death hoaxes that kept resurfacing every few years. That morning, he had been alert, talking, even joking with the nurses. He was the kind of man who could find something to laugh about in a hospital bed.
Who wants the first one?
On screen, Chuck Norris was a man of few words. But for audiences, it didn't matter. His roundhouse kicks and punches made him one of Hollywood's biggest action stars.
Send me a postcard.
But before audiences knew him, Norris was best known for being a master in martial arts, a black belt, and karate world champion, and even came up with his own style. One of his first film roles came thanks to an old training partner, legend Bruce Lee.
So he called me up and said, you know, I want to do a movie with a fight scene that everyone will remember. And he said, would you come over and do the fight scene with me? I said, well, do I have to lose? He says, yeah, you have to lose.
Considered to be one of the quintessential fight scenes in cinema, The Way of the Dragon showed off Lee and Norris's high-flying moves with the Coliseum as the backdrop.
Less than 24 hours before he died, Chuck Norris had been training. It was not light movement or the cautious shuffle of a man slowly winding down. He was moving with the kind of deliberateness that takes years to build. And 9 days before that, on his 86th birthday, he posted a video of himself still sharp in a way that made people half his age uncomfortable. At the end of the video, he looked directly into the camera and said, "I don't age. I level up."
I don't age. I level up.
I'm Chuck Norris. I know strength. I know resilience.
Then he was gone like wind, without a confirmed cause of death or extended medical explanation. Just a family statement and a request for privacy.
He announced his sudden passing, saying he lived his life with faith, purpose, and an unwavering commitment to the people he loved. Through his work, he inspired millions around the world and left a lasting impact on so many lives.
For most people, that's where the story ends. A man lived a long, extraordinary life. He went out on his own terms, in a place he chose, surrounded by the people he loved. But not everyone closed the book there.
Encouragement from his real-life student, actor Steve McQueen, Norris turned his attention to acting, leading to a box office run in the 80s. He became a marquee name in films like Lone Wolf McQuade, Missing in Action, and The Delta Force.
Well, welcome to the Texas Rangers, Trivet.
In the 90s, Norris became one of television.
You see, Chuck Norris owned several properties over the years in Texas, California, etc., as men of his profile tend to do. But one in particular kept coming up: Kauai in Hawaii. It's a secluded estate, private in the way that serious people are private. Contractors and workers who had been on or near the property over the years described it with a consistency that was hard to dismiss. It was layered and unusually reinforced in certain sections, enough to register if you knew what you were looking at.
Norris began his martial arts training when he joined the Air Force in 1958 and was sent to Korea. He later founded the United Fighting Arts Federation and created his own style. He became a 6-time undefeated world professional middleweight karate champion. After training celebrities, including Steve McQueen, he stepped in front of the camera. In 1972, he shared the screen with Bruce Lee in The Way of the Dragon. His more than 20 movie credits include Missing in Action, The Delta Force, and Sidekicks.
I'm tougher.
In 1993, he debuted his most well-known role, Walker, Texas Ranger. The series ran for 9 seasons. In 2010, then-Governor Rick Perry awarded Norris the title of Honorary Texas Ranger, and the Texas Senate later named him an Honorary Texan. Norris became a legend in memes when he gained viral fame with Chuck Norris.
At the time, nobody thought much of it. A man who spent his career projecting strength, building a home that reflected that same instinct made a certain kind of sense.
Chuck Norris once told The Times, "I never wanted to be Dustin Hoffman or Al Pacino. I never dreamed of being an actor. I do what I do." And he did it well. An actor wouldn't have accidentally kicked Dean Martin across the room in his first big movie in 1968, but thankfully, that didn't mark the end of Chuck's Hollywood career, or Dean's for that matter. It was just the beginning. On the small screen and the silver, Chuck Norris made an impact. True from the moment he first appeared on the big screen in 1968's The Wrecking Crew opposite Dean Martin, mixing martial arts and motion picture. Born in 1940 in Ryan, Oklahoma, just north of the Texas border, Carlos Ray Norris would enlist in the U.S. Air Force, where he got the nickname Chuck. While stationed in South Korea, he studied judo and tang soo do, and went on to win 6 world karate championships, becoming friends with Bruce Lee, who introduced him to the world of film. The two starring together in 1972's The Way of...
You don't become Chuck Norris without developing an acute awareness of vulnerability. So the walls, the layout, the reinforced sections of the house all read as the behavior of someone who understood what exposure cost and had spent a lifetime making sure he controlled his own perimeter. Nobody asked questions. There was no reason to, until there was.
You just can't get it right, can you?
It was that role and that intensity that would inspire a million memes and pop culture moments.
You know, they say Chuck Norris is so tough, there's no chin under his beard. There is only another fist.
That's ridiculous. Chuck Norris.
Throughout his career, he was an ambassador for fitness and well-being, even introducing the Osmonds to karate early in their career. Donnie sharing on social media that Chuck was tough in training, but one of the kindest souls you could ever know. Working with youth was immensely rewarding to Chuck Norris, as he told ABC back in 2007.
When you develop that security in these youngsters, they have no reason to fight. This is, to me, the most gratifying thing I've ever been able to do.
5 years later, at age 72, he starred in The Expendables 2. Director Sly Stallone writing, "I had a great time working with Chuck. He was all-American in every way." Chuck Norris passing away Thursday morning in Hawaii, his family sharing in a statement in part, "To the world, he was a martial artist, actor, and a symbol of strength. To us, he was a devoted husband."
Roughly a week after his death, federal personnel reportedly visited one of his properties as part of what was described as a routine review process. This is standard procedure in high-profile cases: documentation, security logs, basic verification of assets and access points. The kind of paperwork that exists to close loops, not open them. No one walked onto that property expecting to find anything unusual. And for a while, they didn't. Then one agent noticed something small.
Norris had been hospitalized in Hawaii on Thursday following a medical emergency. His family says he died suddenly. In true Chuck Norris fashion, he showed no signs of slowing right down up till the very end, even sharing, as it would turn out, one of Chuck Norris's last Chuck Norris facts just over a week ago on his 86th birthday.
I don't age. I level up.
Joining us now is American actor and retired bodybuilder Lou Ferrigno. Mr. Ferrigno starred in the TV series The Incredible Hulk in the 1970s. He also helped Norris strength train for movies like Hero and The Terror. They remained lifelong friends for 40 years. Lou, welcome to the show. This has got to be a tough
Thank
day.
you.
Got to be a tough day for you. What was your reaction when you heard?
A section of flooring in a private study, filled with books and personal records, the accumulated evidence of a life spent reading and thinking sounded different when walked across. It wasn't hollow exactly, just inconsistent in a way that didn't match the rest of the floor. The kind of thing that, once noticed, refuses to be unnoticed.
He was a real true American. I mean, I loved the guy because he was a hero. Especially when I was a teenager, I used to watch him in the movies. I fighting Bruce Lee. I actually grew up with him. And I admired him because when he came to me and trained him, we shared a lot of different stories. He told me about his adventure with Bruce Lee, where he came from. He had a tough relationship with his father, especially being a world champion. And I tell you, I learned a lot from Chuck. He would probably be my favorite student. If I told him to do 10 more reps, he would do 10 reps. He was so determined and such a good soul.
When was the last time you spoke to him or saw him?
I saw Chuck, I would say maybe 9 months ago. It was at a Comic-Con. I believe it was somewhere in Texas with his family. And I said to myself, I said to Chuck, I said, how old are you? Chuck said, I'm like 85. I said, are you kidding me? I mean, he still had the vitality and the vibrant. It was great because every time you're around him, he radiates so much energy, especially his wife and the kids. And it's such a
Initial inspection turned up nothing obvious. But when they cross-referenced the structural layout of the building against older property records, a discrepancy appeared. The measurements didn't match. There was space beneath the structure that wasn't accounted for in any official document. It wasn't a large space, but a deliberate one. That was the moment the tone of the visit changed entirely. Because at that point, it was no longer routine paperwork. It was a question. A very specific, uncomfortable question. Why would there be a concealed substructure beneath this property? And who exactly had known it was there?
That video that he himself posted just about a week ago on his own birthday, I don't age, I level up. I mean, first of all, it's classic Chuck Norris, but he looked fantastic.
But it shows you he embraces the aging process. He doesn't give up. Like at the age of 86, like the sparring. I mean, who could do this at 86? Very few people. I hope I could do the same at 86.
Yeah, me too. What was it about Chuck Norris that resonated across the generational divide? Why do you think, you know, generation after generation, boomers to Gen X, millennials, even Gen Z, why do you think they all connected somehow with Chuck Norris?
He was a fighter. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you know, he served in the military too. And he had a tough life, and I think he had that fire in him that he wanted to be the best he can be, and he never took any crap from anybody because he has so much adversity against him, especially when he...
Access to the secret compartment in Chuck's home wasn't obvious. There was no visible door, exposed entry point, or anything that announced itself. But after further inspection, they found something off to the side of the room, flush with the floor, nearly impossible to distinguish from the surrounding surface without knowing precisely where to look. It wasn't locked. It was concealed. And that's a frightening distinction, because a lock keeps people out. Concealment means you were never supposed to know it existed in the first place. When opened, they saw reinforced narrow concrete steps, leading down into darkness.
3 years ago, I got invited over there to go to a kickboxing event in Moscow. And I thought, well, you know, I've never been there, so I'd like to go over there. And because, you know, I had black belts that had come over and trained with me from Russia, but I'd never been there. So I go over there, and unbeknownst to me, about 10 years ago, martial arts was outlawed in Russia. And if you used it, they put you in jail. And so they trained underground, but they had no teachers. And they were using my pirated movies, tapes, to train. Yeah, use the training aids. And so I went over there. I was like their mentor. You know, I was very surprised. And so at this kickboxing event, they had a facility of like 30,000 people. When the word got out I was going to be there, they sold it out in like 5 hours. And it was amazing because, you know, crowds don't make me nervous. This time I went to this event, and I'm sitting there with the promoter, and I could feel the energy of the crowd.
What the FBI found at the bottom of Chuck's Kauai home was a single chamber. Not large, roughly the size of a modest room. Reinforced walls, minimal lighting infrastructure, no obvious utilities. A metal table, secured fixtures along one wall, mounted brackets, evenly spaced, with an unclear purpose.
Forget
Really?
it. No, my limit's about, well, in my movies. I think my limit's about 8. In my movies.
But you know, in the movies, whenever a crowd of like 50 guys surrounds someone like you in a movie, the guy comes at you one at a time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's true.
That's true.
It's like 15 guys surround you and they've got lead pipes and everything.
Well,
then they come at you one at one, and it's just like...
That's the only way you can win.
Yeah, but if we have 200 people here tonight. If they all rushed right now, we could take him. Just all together.
Well, I feel
Maybe
sorry
not.
for the first 3 guys. First 3 guys might not be in good
guys,
shape.
right.
But, no,
Maybe that's it.
The whole thing is, but even if you see my movies, though, generally, like in Code of Silence I did in Chicago, I get jumped by a bunch of guys, and I lose. I get beat up, because in my mind, you got to be logical to a certain extent.
You want there to be a little bit of
reality there, and I do. I get a beat.
But the most unsettling detail wasn't what was present. It was what was absent. There is no confirmed evidence connecting this space to anything illegal. No official statements suggesting criminal activity. No verified reports of wrongdoing of any kind. What exists are fragments. Partial accounts from people who were present. Details that were never officially confirmed, but also never fully denied. The FBI has not commented. His wife Gina O'Kelly, whom he married in 1998, and the rest of the family has maintained their request for privacy. Official channels have stayed quiet in that careful, deliberate way that tends to generate more questions than answers. It all points to one word: preparation. The structure wasn't random. It served a purpose known only to a very small number of people, possibly only to Norris himself.
In that scene there, because I thought there's 12 guys, there's no way that I can really take and win that fight, and I didn't.
Well, this brings up something. You were in one of Bruce Lee's great movies.
Return of the Dragon.
Return of the Dragon. And this is a famous, famous fight scene that you had with Bruce Lee.
I still consider it a classic.
It holds up. I watched it today, and they've advanced fight scenes so much, but this really holds up. It's an amazing fight scene.
Well, I think the main reason Bruce was really ahead of his.
But here is what ties everything together: the timing. The fact that nothing in Chuck Norris's final days suggested a man in decline. He was active, engaged, sharp, training the day before he died. Until, suddenly, he wasn't. That doesn't prove anything on its own. But in stories like this, proof isn't always what people are reaching for. They're reaching for patterns. For something that makes the ending feel less abrupt than it was.
Times, and it's pretty close, and he didn't allow that, did he?
No, I was the only one ever to really do that, fighting. But again, he respected me because of my ability as a world champion at the time.
Did you guys ever go at it in a real situation?
No, I was a professional fighter. I fought professionally then, and he would. Bruce was very, very good, but he never fought in the ring.
Really?
No, he never fought in the ring.
Okay.
There's a big difference. Kicking the bag is one thing. Getting in the ring and having someone kicking back at you is a whole different story.
Hey, I know.
Officially, the case is simple. A man lived a long, remarkable life. He passed away peacefully. His family asked for privacy. But unofficially, there are questions about the property, about the chamber, about whether everything that existed on that estate was ever meant to be discovered. Maybe it means nothing. Maybe it's grief layered over coincidence, a story people construct to make sense of a loss that doesn't require explanation. Or maybe it's something quieter than that. Something that existed just outside the official version of events. Something that was never meant to become part of the story at all. Because sometimes the most unsettling things aren't the ones that get confirmed. They're the ones that exist just enough to never fully go away.